What is up, Notre Dame Fighting Irish fans? Game 1 in the books for you as Notre Dame defends home turf. They knock off the Indiana Hoosiers there in South Bend, 27-17. The very first ever college football playoff game played on campus, and it's Notre Dame over the Hoosiers. As Jeremiah Love ties the Notre Dame record with a 98-yard touchdown run, Riley Leonard adds 2 more scores, and the Fighting Irish shut down the highest-scoring team in the college football playoff, overwhelming Indiana 27-17 on Friday night. And we know from watching the game it wasn't that close, boys and girls. Indiana got a couple of late scores, and I won't even. The old adage is, they made some late scores to get the game close there. It still wasn't close. It was still a 2-possession game even after that. So they may have scored a couple of touchdowns late. Of course, the onside kick there to get the score closer, but they did not make it interesting. And they were really never, the Hoosiers were never really in this game. Playing from behind most of the game, that should not be a death sentence for them in a game, but Notre Dame's defense just way, way too much on Friday night. The 7th-seeded Fighting Irish won their 11th straight and their first ever playoff victory. They also have tied a program record with their 12th win this season. They'll face 2nd-seeded Georgia now in the Sugar Bowl on January 1. Notre Dame and coach Marcus Freeman obviously earned the biggest win of his 3-year career by extending his Irish record to 12 victories over ranked teams in 3 seasons. 10th-seeded Indiana falls to 11-2. They completed a magical season, though, by finishing with its second fewest points this season on a very cold, very brisk night in the first ever college football playoff game played on a campus site, as I mentioned. Both of the Hoosiers' losses came to top 5 opponents. There was some question about their resume to even get in the college football playoff. Personally, I thought they were well-deserving to get into the playoff. I did not have an issue with them being there at all, but it is what it is. When you don't play well against top-ranked teams, you're not going to do well in the playoff because that's all it is in the playoff. So Indiana falls again to a top 5 opponent. They did set a single-season record for wins with 11, but they still have not won at Notre Dame since, are you ready for this? 1898. So 126 years since Indiana has won at Notre Dame. Next up, of course, Indiana's going to spend a busy offseason trying to replicate what they built in year 1 under Cignetti. The Fighting Irish will prepare for Georgia in the Sugar Bowl on New Year's Day, and what a game that should be. Georgia, I don't believe Notre Dame's ever beat Georgia. I forgot what the exact stat was that they talked about on the broadcast tonight. Is it 3-0 or Georgia's 2-0 maybe against Notre Dame? I can't remember what the exact figure was. So Marcus Freeman and his boys certainly have a lot of work to do here, prepping for the New Year's Day matchup with Georgia. Plenty of time to do it, though. As we get into some of the stats here for everybody, your team leaders for the Irish, Riley Leonard finished 23 of 32 for 201 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Jeremiah Love, 8 carries, 108 yards, then 1 touchdown. Of course, the 1 touchdown and 98 of those yards on 1 play. As I mentioned, tying the longest play in Notre Dame history. And then, of course, through the air, Jordan Faison, 7 catches, 89 yards. Over on the Indiana side, Curtis Rourke, 20 of 33, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that horrible interception early in the game that led to that 98-yard run. And then Justice Ellison, 11 carries, 37 yards. Notre Dame gave Indiana no room to run the ball at all Friday night. And then, of course, Elijah Sarrett, 4 catches, 67 yards. With time of possession, it was all Notre Dame, 35-43 to 24-14. I thought Notre Dame did a lot of really good things here, but they're going to have to play better against Georgia. The Georgia defense is really good. There's questions at quarterback. Carson Beck's going to be out, but that freshman dude's really, really good. So it'll be an interesting matchup, to say the least. Total yards dominated by Notre Dame, 394 to 278. And then, of course, the rushing yards, 193 to 63, edge to Notre Dame. 7-13 on third down. That could have been a little bit better, but they only held Indiana to 4-12 on third down. And, of course, fourth down efficiency, Indiana went 1 for 1. Notre Dame did not attempt it. Turnover for each club, both on interceptions. Penalties pretty even, 6 penalties for 35 yards for Notre Dame, 5 for 46 for Indiana. Yards per rush, again, the rushing game won it for Notre Dame. 5.5 yards per carry average for Notre Dame, just 2.3 for Indiana. So it's what we wanted to see, what we needed to see against Indiana. Obviously, a lesser opponent. You're not going to run into a lesser opponent like that again in the playoff. So let's clean some things up a little bit. Let's give props and give credit where credit is due here on Friday night. Celebrate a little bit on Saturday as we watch some of the other games. And then, time to get to work. Time to start focusing on Georgia. Time to continue on. We're going to continue on now, as that famous, ridiculous saying goes. But that'll do it for our show. We appreciate everybody tuning in tonight, or if you're listening on Saturday, or whenever you're listening. Thanks very much. I would very much love to hear what you thought about tonight's game at IndyCar Timm. On X, on Threads, on Blue Sky. Find me on Facebook. Love to see you there. Or comment if you're watching the video on YouTube. Comment over there. We'd love to hear what you thought about the game and maybe make you part of the Georgia preview if it's good enough to get you on the air. Again, that's going to do it for us until the Georgia preview in our next episode here on the Fighting Hours Daily Blitz on FanStream Sports. I'm IndyCar Timm. And if I can get where I'm going, we'll see you.